All right, hot off the press. I just got this dismissal here. All right, from the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Nova Scotia here. The dismissal that it was so very clear that they were going to try to, they have to dismiss it. Acknowledging such a fact would, be so very, very damaging to their baby killing machine. All right, let's get right into it. All right, so your complaint against Dr. Michel Dell, pursuant to Section 89, Sub 1 of the Medical Acts regulations, I have completed my review of your complaint. Approximately 10 years ago, Dr. Dell provided your partner with a prescription for hormonal birth control. This resulted in the loss of your unborn child. Certainly did. The baby it was a fully viable pregnancy. I mean, the baby boy or baby girl was alive and died, unfortunately, at the later stage of implantation. All right. So and look what they say here. Your understanding is that they don't even the pharmaceutical industry certainly admits that this is, the fact. So your understanding is that the birth control given does not always prevent fertilization or conception, but instead alters the uterine lining, preventing implantation, which results in the death of a newly conceived life. And it certainly does, right? So your understanding is that. So they will not, certainly not admit that. That could be trouble for them, for their baby killing machine, and that would be certainly trouble to acknowledge the fact. But it is, right? So you allege Dr. Dow failed to advise your partner on how birth control worked. She certainly did. If she would have said these are abortifacients, that birth control would certainly not be prescribed, because the woman that I was with at that time certainly would not have accepted that, because I mean that's we don't want to kill any babies here. We are not lunatics, okay, and therefore did not provide critical information to allow informed consent. That is true. When you contacted Dr. Dez's office with this concern, it was ignored because, as the father, you were not the recipient of the prescription. That's true. Taken as a whole, you would allege professional misconduct on the part of Dr. Dow. Dr. Dow was not asked to provide a written response to your complaint. After reviewing the materials, I am satisfied that no additional investigation is required. The complaint focuses on care, or if you call it care, provided by Dr. Dow to your partner. Well, no, I mean, this is my baby that died. The complaint is advanced without the consent of the patient. Without consent, let alone the identity of the patient, there is no way to investigate the allegations advanced. Well, I mean, she could have, provided a written response, and she would have seen that, yes, this is true, because she knows the other two children that I, had this this lady I was not married to. I had two other children, and they are physically related to Dr. Dow. The complaint, yeah, so without consent, or the identity of the patient, and without a written response from Dr. Dow, there's no way to investigate the alleged allegations advanced, right? So moreover, the college has not been contacted by the patient to advise of any. What is this patient, right? She was not sick. She's not a sick individual. She's not a patient. What's going on here? Why do they call her a patient when she's not? To advise of any concerns regarding the care provided by Dr. Dow. Well, is this really care? Right? Is this type of sales lady, or is it really care? So there is no evidence to support any of the matters alleged. Very convenient. Pursuant to Section 89, Sub 1 of the Medical Act regulations, I have the authority to dismiss a complaint if the complaint cannot be substantiated. I find this to be such a case. So very, very convenient. So you would not ask for Dr. Dow to provide a written response, and you would just dismiss the case without any need for since you did not ask Dr. Duff for a written response, and there's no evidence because Dr. Duff didn't respond, and you don't admit what the pharmaceutical industry admits, that it is an abortifacient. Well, then we can dismiss the complaint. Very, very convenient. There is no reasonable, sufficient, or reliable evidence upon which to to support a finding of professional misconduct on the part of Dr. Dow. Accordingly, this matter is dismissed. Good. Pursuant to Section 90 sub 1 of the Medical Act regulations, you may submit a written request within 30 days of the date of this letter to the registrar for a review of the dismissal by the Independent Review Committee. Requests received following 30 days or verbally cannot be considered. You should be aware that Section 46 of the Medical Act creates a statutory obligation to maintain the confidentiality of all information gathered in the course of the investigation and resolution of complaints. This does not stop you from seeking appropriate support from friends or family or others, which may involve advising them of the information that formed the subject of the complaint, the fact that you have filed a complaint with the college, and the status of the complaint and the process that is involved. So, Section 46 of the Medical Act does require you to maintain confidentiality of the information that is provided by the college to you, such as the specific response of the physician, except where you may seek support from a healthcare professional or legal advice related to the complaint. Because a decision was rendered without a licensing sanction, there will be no publication of this decision. All right, so that's Gus Grant, right? And he is an AB, LLB, MD, CCFP, ICDD. DA Gus Grant. He's the registrar and CEO, and a copy was sent to Dr. Michel Dev, right? So that is the dismissal. And I was waiting that for a few days, so I'm very happy that I was able to get that today. So of course they have to dismiss. I mean, you cannot, approve this kind of subject matter. It would just be too, damaging to their baby killing machine that you cannot. And this guy's a great gentleman here. He just basically regurgitated the same nonsense that as a father, I don't have the grounds to complain because I'm not going to ask Dr. Michel Dow to issue any so this is what he does, right? He says there's no evidence, but Dr. Doe was not asked to provide a written response, right? So he's saying, oh, I'm completely blind and I'm not going to investigate, but there's no evidence. Well, whatever. I mean, of course he's got to do something. He cannot, by any, and he cannot even acknowledge the pharmaceutical's own, say so. I mean, they really do admit that. Your understanding. Yeah, look at what he says. Your understanding is that the birth control does not always prevent fertilization, but instead alters the uterine lining, which it does, preventing implantation. Which results in the death of a newly conceived life. And so your understanding that's not my understanding. That was not my understanding. I mean, that's what the pharmaceutical industry says. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, that is the dismissal. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next video.